It is cold and blustery today, but we will have Cubs baseball on NBC Sports Chicago. The Atlanta Braves come to town off to a good start, 7-5 to begin the year. The Cubs come in at 6-6 after dropping 2 of 3 against the Pirates. Welcome to Cubs baseball. We are all bundled up in the booth, Jim DeShays and Len Casper, and we'll learn more about these Atlanta Braves here in a second, but we'll get into our pitching matchup as Yu Darvish will make his home debut as a Chicago Cub.
Yeah, stylistically very different. A couple of right-handers going today. Darvish for the Cubs and Anibal Sanchez for the Braves. Sanchez very crafty now. He's been around a long time. Will flip up a real slow curveball, a little bit below average in terms of his velocity. He's made 4 starts against the Cubs, but this will be their first look at him since 2015. So there's been a lot of turnover, obviously, in the Cubs roster. Yu Darvish, really good last time out against Milwaukee. He threw first pitch strikes to 18 of the 21 batters he faced. 6 innings, 2 hits, allowed the 1 solo home run, walked 1, struck out 9. Darvish was on top of his game against Milwaukee last time out.
Yeah, we've seen 2 different Yu Darvishes and maybe a few more slower breaking balls in that second start. He's got so many weapons, I think it's just kind of trying to compartmentalize what he needs to do to get that lineup out.
Yeah, and it's kind of learning the system here, buying into what the Cubs try to do in terms of how they attack hitters, working with a new catcher. In his first start in Miami, it was all fastball, slider, and last time out he did go a little soft from time to time.
Braves got in Wednesday night after a series in Washington, so they had a full day off in Chicago yesterday. They've been kind of in a rebuild mode, but they've got some exciting young players.
Scoring a lot of runs out of the Braves, second only to the Pirates in runs per game. Dansby Swanson, 2015, was the #1 overall pick in the draft. He's off to a hot start, hitting .348, OPS of .940. Ozzie Albies, just 21 years of age. He leads the league in extra base hits, a .278 batting average, but a lot of slugging from Albies.
The National League East is pretty interesting, and we weren't sure it would be when the season started, but the Mets have gotten off to a sizzling start. I think there's an understanding that the Nationals are just going to run away with it, but they might not.
No, not with the start the Mets have had if they stay healthy in the rotation. And this Braves club, the Phillies club, both capable of surprising. The Braves bullpen has been really good. I'm not sure that their starting pitching is going to hold up. The Nationals are still the strong favorite in the division, but it could be interesting as things play out this summer over in the NL East.
All right, first pitch coming up in about 15 minutes, and when we come back, JD will chat with our Cubs insider, Doug Glanville, and more on Javier Baez, who's had a wild week here at Wrigley Field.
We are back. You can follow our Cubs insiders on NBCSportsChicago.com, presented by Nationwide agent Jeff Vukovich. Go to jeffvuk.com or follow him on social media. Nationwide is on your side. A moment now with our Cubs insider, Doug Glanville. It's been an interesting week, Doug. Interesting start to the homestand for Javi Baez. Two home run games against the Pirates. Clint Hurdle took exception to some of his actions on the field. What's your take on all this?
Yeah, well, it speaks to a lot of the challenges around unwritten rules in baseball, and we've seen a lot of it this week, whether it's the brawls between the Yankees and the Red Sox. You recognize that. That's always a changing culture in the game. And look, Javi Baez brings a ton of energy to this team, and when you're a catalyst and you make things happen, you play with energy and passion. Sometimes that passion is expressed in frustration. And so, talking about flipping bats and all these things, it's one of those things that internally on the Cubs side, they certainly know who Javi Baez is.
Yeah, there's some tension in the game, isn't there? With, some old school guys like Hurdle, he's been around a long time, old school sensibilities. He wasn't happy with the bat flip from Javi when he popped up, made some comments to the press afterwards. Had this conversation yesterday with Javi and Cervelli. We weren't sure exactly where that was going, but it's just as you mentioned, the unwritten rules. It's just hard to know because everybody's playing by a different set of rules.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're also in the family of baseball. Even though you are in opposing dugouts, you recognize that you played a lot against different guys from different teams and different backgrounds and cultures. And a lot of that has really reset your assumptions about who these players are. And I played in Puerto Rico for 2 years in winter ball, and I learned a lot from just the culture, the passion. I was embraced as family. So you have a different perception when you're exposed to people, and there's nothing like being in a major league clubhouse from beginning to end that really exposes you to all types of people.
Right, and sometimes, we talk about this issue with hurdle in the Pirates and how they react to Javi, but sometimes it's within your own clubhouse where you have guys on your own team who don't really care for certain players' actions, and then they have to address it. And apparently Strope talked to Baez a little bit the other day.
Yeah, and you also think about this. When you're on the opposing team, you know how it is. There's a lot of guys you're like, oh, I don't like this guy's antics from afar. But when you're on that team, I talked to Jason Hayward before the game, and he said, well, look, Javi's a leader. You know, he's the spark, the guy you go to like, hey, let's pick it up, guys. He plays with passion, and most of that's going to be positive all the way through. Obviously, exception can be taken on the other team, but you don't always know the backdrop of someone until you're really a teammate day in, day out.
Turn the page completely on you here. Last time I checked, it was 42 degrees with a feels like of 34. Did you have any tricks in dealing with cold weather?
Oh, wow. A lot of layers. I remember opening day in '97, and Jeff Conine of the Marlins was at first base, and he looked like a giant puffer fish. He had so many layers on that I thought if he actually moved left or right, he would completely explode. So layers helps, and just try to stay warm and keep in motion.
A lot of coffee and stay warm.
Hand warmers, everything.
So you had a chat recently with Jason Hayward. You're going to write a story about it. Talk about Hayward. You could preview that for us.
Yeah, I mean, just talking to Jason Hayward, I kind of wanted to get a sense of his journey for the last 2 years and 3 years, just coming over from St. Louis. Expectations, obviously now a world champion. Defense, what did Chili Davis bring to him in his approach? And then we talked a little bit about Javi Baez and sort of his role on this team. So very calm, collected as typical. He's the statesman on the team, and you always think of him as a veteran, even though he's still a young guy. So it was a very insightful conversation. I look forward to expanding on that.
Yeah, that's what happens when you come to the big leagues at the age of 20. You become a veteran when you're 23, 24.
Right, exactly.
All right, Doug, thanks for the visit. Great to have you. And let's throw it downstairs.
Air National Guard, 182nd Airlift Wing. At this time, please remain standing and join Wayne Mesmer as he honors America with our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Wrigley Field with the wind blowing in. That, however, didn't stop Kyle Schwarber from having a big day yesterday. Hit one out of the park, beat the shift twice, and I had a chance to catch up with him. He'll be hitting 5th in the lineup this afternoon, and just kind of evaluate where he feels like he is at this point in the season.
You know, you just got to take it as it is. You know, like I said, I'm going to have a short memory there. You know, you obviously go back and revisit what went well, and then you turn the page and you get ready to come back the next day and get after the guy today.
We were just joking about the weather, how quickly it can change at Wrigley. For you, playing in left field and feeling it now for the full season that you're going to get to do, what are you realizing about that position more and more when it comes to playing it at Wrigley?
I mean, you got to be on your toes out there. You just never know where that ball is going to end up being, and you know, the wind can change at any time. It's going to be swirling, it's going to be blowing out, it's going to be blowing in, it's going to be blowing left to right, right to left, things like that. So just always kind of keeping awareness on where that wind's going to be, and always communicating with your outfielders and knowing where they're going to be positioned, and know the ground that you're going to have to get to, and just be able to keep the ball in front of you and just go from there.
Kyle, you're going to get to see the debut, at least at Wrigley, of Yu Darvish this afternoon. What have you enjoyed watching him go out there and take the ball?
Yeah, I'm just being able to watch him go about his business and how he's pitched, for years now, and how he's got, he's come over here and he's doing what he's doing. It's pretty special to watch, and premier strikeout pitcher, and you know what you're going to get out of him.
Darvish making his Cubs Wrigley debut, and another thing Schwarber said he's looking forward to is what the walkout music will be for Darvish. That'll be coming up momentarily as the Cubs and Braves get set to go the first of a 3-game set this weekend. Lynn and JD will have the call and all the action coming up on NBC Sports Chicago right after this.
Cubs baseball on NBC Sports Chicago is brought to you in part by Lexus, who encourages you to experience amazing. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Illinois, through it all. Ford, who invites you to go further in their fuel-efficient vehicles. Check out our entire lineup at your local Ford store or buyfordnow.com. Menards, save big money at Menards. And by Southwest Airlines, low fares, no hidden fees. That's transparency.
Let's play 2, as Ernie would say. Or let's just get 1 in. We might get a little rain later on this afternoon. Wind blowing in, and we're ready for baseball. And the Braves Southwest starting lineup. Ender Inciarte will lead it off. We talked about Albies on the pregame show. Freddie Freeman has been great with runners in scoring position, something he's always been good at. Markakis and Suzuki, the veterans, in the middle. Preston Tucker is in left. Dansby Swanson at short. Ryan Flaherty came up in the Cubs system. He's at third. Anibal Sanchez will pitch and bat ninth.
Cubs defensively in the lineup this way. Kyle Schwarber will play left. Albert Elmore Jr. initially in the lineup at center. He was a late scratch, so half plays center field today. Jason Hayward is in right. Tommy La Stella gets his second start of the year, first at third base. Russell Mbaez up the middle. KB plays first today. He's made 8 career starts over there at first base. Wilson Contreras is behind the plate, and on the mound, our Lexus Experience amazing starting pitcher for the Cubs today is the big right-hander, Yu Darvish. 2 starts, no wins, no losses, a .523 earned run average. First one, meh. Second one, really good. 6'5", 220, 4-time All-Star. First time he's ever faced the Atlanta Braves.
So we're ready to go. It's Darvish to Inciarte. First pitch swing. That's a fair ball to first. Bryant's got it. And Darvish is on quite a pace for a 27-pitch complete game.
Yeah, and that Chris Bryant sure can play first base.
Number 1 on your scorecard and number 1 in your hearts, Bruce Dreckman. Yes, he wears number 1. He's from Iowa, and he's working home plate. Chad Fairchild is at first base. Mike Estabrook at second. Alfonso Marquez, the crew chief, over at third.
If we were playing umpire trivia and you had asked me who the crew chief was, I would have guessed Dreckman.
Yeah. Me too. 1 strike on Ozzie Albies. Switch hitting middle infielder. And he pops it foul out of play.
Yeah, this is the kind of day we talk about the cold weather favoring pitchers, and look at Darvish out there with no sleeves on. And normally, as the case, hitters don't like to hit in cold weather. But what really favors is the mentally tough. I mean, when you play in these challenging conditions, you've got to find a way to block it out of your mind and just go play and maintain a consistent approach.
42 degrees, north wind at 17. The wind chill checks in at 34. And the 0-2 pitch bounces.
Albies debuted last year at the age of 20. He's now 21. hit 15 home runs between the big leagues and the minor leagues. He's not a big guy, but he's powerfully built.
Originally a shortstop and moved over to second when they acquired Dansby Swanson from Arizona. 1-2 in on the hands, and it'll be caught in foul territory by LaStella. 2 down.
Mentioned this is a U's first ever start against Atlanta, so most of the guys in their lineup have never faced him. Kurt Suzuki, who's catching today, has 5 at-bats against him. Preston Tucker, who's playing the outfield, has 3 at-bats against him. And that's it for the guys in the lineup today versus Darvish.
Here's Freddie Freeman. You want to face him with nobody on base as much as possible. So far this year with nobody on, 4 for 22. And there's a Macon, Illinois native, Brian Snitker's second full season managing the Braves. Macon is 45 miles east of Springfield, and this is his 42nd season in the Braves organization. Joined them as an undrafted catcher, 1977.
Out of the University of New Orleans.
Same alma mater as former Cub manager Mike Quaddy.
And Randy Bush, assistant general manager.
Yep.
Yeah, Freeman, you know, one of the best players in the game. Last couple of years, the Braves haven't done a lot of winning, so I don't think he's getting the attention he deserves. He was having a monster year last year when he got hurt.
Fouled away.
Came back and posted huge numbers. So beginning in 2016, he has the 3rd best OPS in Major League Baseball behind Votto and Trout.
Getting on base so far this year at a .518 clip.
Yeah, and very, very discerning. He's kind of like Joey Votto. He doesn't chase.
And he lines one into center. So Freeman is aboard with 2 outs.
Yeah, and that's kind of when you think Freddie Freeman, line drive through the middle.
Here comes their veteran right fielder Nick Markakis. Final year of a 4-year contract he signed to replace Jason Hayward, who had been traded to St. Louis. Markakis now 34 years old. He's always been durable. 155 games plus 10 different times in his career. Cubs dropped the rubber match yesterday to the Pirates, 6-1. So 1-2 here at home to start this 9-game homestand.
Braves averaging a better than 5.5 runs per game. That's second best in the league.
29 doubles, tops in the National League. Here's the pitch.
Talking to some of their broadcasters, and they're referring to this as the Iditarod road trip. They started in Denver. They played 1 game there. I think it was 23 degrees at first pitch. Moved on to Washington where it was very cold. They thought they might catch a break here, but that's not going to be the case. So kind of like Pittsburgh, despite playing in all this cold weather, they've been very good.
Because they're scoring so much and not giving up a lot of runs, they don't have a save yet through 12 games. Two balls, 2 strikes on Nick Markakis. Kurt Suzuki is on deck. Darvish with the short sleeves today on this very cold afternoon. He'll lob toss over to first.
And we talked about it in our open. Darvish in his first start in Miami was fastball, slider, occasional cutter. He added to that mix in his outing against the Brewers. A few more curveballs, a couple of changeups. Got a lot of left-handed bats to contend with here today with this Brave lineup.
Full count with 2 down. And Bryant will play behind Freeman at first.
Markakis, patient guy, willing to take his walks. Doesn't hit for much power. He did earlier in his career with Baltimore. He was a 20 home run type guy.
And ball 4. So 2 on for Suzuki. Braves have some injuries. Johan Camargo, their third baseman, has an oblique and lower back issue. Tyler Flowers, who normally shares time with Suzuki, is out with an oblique. Luis Gohara, starting pitchers, out. And they're waiting on Ronald Acuna, one of the top prospects in baseball. He will likely be their everyday left fielder at some point this season. Right now he's percolating in the minor leagues.
Yeah, and he's struggling right now, but I think the thinking was that, well, a lot of people thought he would make the club. But kind of like Chris Bryant with the service time, you can understand why the Braves would start him in the minor leagues. They don't want to start that free agency clock ticking.
1-1 on Suzuki, who hit 2 go-ahead home runs on Wednesday in Washington, including 1 in extra innings. Darvish with a 1-1. Lined and caught by Baez to end the threat. The Braves strand a couple. The Cubs are coming to bat against Anibal Sanchez when we return. They put up 13 on Wednesday, held to just a solo homer by Kyle Schwarber yesterday against the Pirates. Let's see how they fare against the Braves today. Happ, La Stella, and Bryant at the top. Contreras, Schwarber, and Russell in the middle. Baez, the former Brave Jason Hayward, and Darvish rounded out.
The Atlantas defensively, Tucker left Inciarte. He's really good out there in center. He's won a couple Gold Gloves. Markakis plays right. Flaherty, Swanson, Albies, Freeman third to first. Suzuki's behind the plate. And the Lexus experience amazing starting pitcher for Atlanta today is the veteran Anibal Sanchez. 2 appearances, 1 start. And
Not really the same guy we used to see, as you referenced earlier.
No, he's never been overpowering, but he's lost a little velocity. Has to be pretty precise with his command. He'll flip up a real slow curveball on occasion. Cutter, slider, just kind of a kitchen sink approach.
Swing and a miss. The leadoff man is presented by Binny's Beverage Depot. If Happ gets a hit here, Binny's will donate $100 to the Greater Chicago Food Depository. And he fouls back to the screen. Sanchez actually had signed with the Minnesota Twins in late February, but was released in the middle of spring training and then signed with the Braves.
Twins signed Lance Lynn, and that kind of nudged Sanchez aside. Braves snapped him up.
Just off the corner.
A lot of spin and off-speed stuff to Happ here. Folks around the game have learned about Ian Happ, how he likes to hit the fastball. He's seen a steady diet of off-speed pitches here first month of the season. Sneak a cheese ball by him there after slowing him down with the off-speed stuff. 90 and 94 lifetime for Sanchez with a 4.08 earned run average. Came up with the Marlins back in '06.
Yeah, not to say he's old, but he signed with the Red Sox before Theo even got there. Called strike 3. So he gets Happ, and it'll bring up Tommy La Stella. Sanchez was traded to the Marlins from the Red Sox along with Hanley Ramirez and others for Josh Beckett, Mike Lowell, Guillermo Mota prior to 2006. I'd call that a blockbuster when you look back on it now. One and one on Tommy, the former Brave. Here's the pitch. Well located. And back-to-back pitches, 1 and 2.
Sends that La Stella sitting soft, perhaps.
Swing and a miss.
Until then, but that's good work by Sanchez. So he went real soft with Happ and then fastball cutter to finish him off. La Stella, a couple of fastballs and then a good changeup fading down and away. He's got good touch, good feel for that changeup here in the early going. Sometimes on a cold day like today, that can be tough too.
Bryant goes the other way. No infielders on that side other than Freddie Freeman.
This one might have stung a little bit right off the end of the bat. It feels a little better though when you get a knock.
So Bryant playing first base today, as you mentioned, only his 9th career start. Remember Freddie Freeman for a couple of weeks last year when he came back from the injury. He went over to third base. They get some more starts for Matt Adams. Which I thought was a pretty generous team thing for Freddie to do.
Noble thing to do for Freddie, yeah.
I think he made like 16 starts over there. And to tell you how Chris Bryant operates, he's a 1-0 Contreras. Joe didn't even tell him prior to today that he was playing first base because he knows Chris likes moving around a little bit. And I know he talked to reporters before the game about liking getting out of his comfort zone. He never wants to feel too comfortable, and he takes off for second, and Albies will field it. Nice athletic play by the Braves second baseman. He was going over to cover the bag, saw the ground ball and made the play. So he takes a hit away from Contreras.
Yeah, it felt like first and third, didn't it?
Yep. Nothing after 1. It's powered by Xfinity. Mentioned earlier, Albies has a shortstop's arm. Short throw, but he showed off that arm.
Yeah, boy, quick actions too. The quick change of direction and then spins, and there's a seed over there to Freeman.
So a scoreless tie as we play the second inning. And as is typically the case on a Friday, this is the only matinee. Everything else around baseball later tonight. And with possible showers hitting the area later on, it's a really good thing we're playing in the afternoon. Preston Tucker swings and misses. Again, maybe holding the fort until Acuna shows up.
Braves got him from the Astros this winter. He had been designated for assignment by Houston, traded for cash considerations.
That will drop down on a flare hit to start the inning.
Out there with no batting gloves on.
That snaps an 0 for 13. comes Dansby Swanson.
It's a top 5 name, right?
Yeah, heck yeah. Former #1 overall pick out of Vanderbilt by the Diamondbacks in 2015, and then that winter was traded to the Braves. He's from Marietta, Georgia, not far from Atlanta. Had a tough go in his rookie year last year, put up the 5th worst OPS among all qualifiers, but off to a great start this season. Throw to first is late. Braves will run a little bit. 9 steals among the National League leaders here in the early going.
Yeah, and Darvish is not quick to home plate, so I think they'd be looking for some opportunities, especially the guys like Inciarte and Albies at the top of the batting order.
Fly ball. We'll see if the wind will give Hayward a chance. It will not. Wow, that on another day might have been caught. Ended up about 30 feet out of play.
Northeast wind here today. It's going to push everything in that direction. And Swanson went 1-1 overall 2015. Alex Bregman of the Astros went right after him in the draft. That's the year Ian Happ went to the Cubs.
Bryant will get it to Russell. Relay to Darvish, not in time. So they get 1. And Swanson will take over at first base. Out of fielder's choice.
2 chances for Chris. He's handled them well. No harm there. Probably didn't need to make that throw. But always wary of that ball skipping out of play on an errant throw and moving that man into scoring position. Swanson, he might have an eye towards running here. Try to create a little something as they get near the bottom of the order.
Ryan Flaherty, former draft pick of the Cubs out of Vanderbilt in 2008, 41st overall in that draft. Didn't make his big league debut until the Orioles got him in the Rule 5 prior to 2012. And he signed with the Braves after being released by the Phillies late in spring training. They also grabbed Peter Borges, who was told he was not going to make the Cubs roster. Swanson will try to make it to second, and he's there. On a throw from Darvish, it got away from Bryant.
He had a big lead. He was out on that front foot, and Chris not able to get leather on it right off the ribs of Swanson. Good heads-up decision by him.
The error charged to Darvish. Apparently low. 2-0 the count on Flaherty. Ryan's father, Ed, has been a college coach at the University of Southern Maine since 1986. Base hit. Here comes the throw by Hayward, and Swanson respecting that arm. Ron Washington, their third base coach as well, deciding not to push it. So we talked about Hayward yesterday and the little subtle plays he makes, and at least for now keeping the Braves off the board.
Washington was sending him.
Oh, he was?
Yeah, it looked
I
like
thought he was going to hold him.
Just slammed on the brakes. Swanson shut it down. Probably would not have ended well for Swanson had he kept going, but even with Jason Hayward out there, Swanson moves pretty well. It's a play you assume he's going to be able to score on.
And now it's the pitcher at the plate, and Sanchez pops in a shallow right. Hayward will make the catch, and everybody holding, and it's probably why Washington had sent Swanson, right? Where they are in the batting order.
Right, yeah. So, again, I mean, the throw was so good, he's probably out of home plate, but it's, you know, with the pitcher coming up, already one out in the inning.
Yeah, it's not necessarily a bad play even if he's out.
Right.
Yep. But he would have been. And they'll leave it up to Inciarte.
To a slow start, but he can hit.
He can field too. Very good outfielder. He's won 2 Gold Gloves. He was an All-Star last year and had 201 hits. Bounced foul to first.
And batted .304 last year. Lifetime .295 batter. First with the Diamondbacks. This is year number 3 in a Brave uniform. Ender's Game is a good one. Got to get one Ender's Game.
Got to do one a
yeah,
series. Yeah. Yes.
Darvish is very deliberate.
You with a 1-1. It's downstairs for a ball. A kick in the pitch. 3-1. He missed a lot more bats in his last start than he did in Miami in his Cub debut. Looking for his first strikeout today. Runner takes off from first, and he can jog to second as Inciarte walks. So the bases are loaded for Albies.
Had a 3-hit game on Wednesday, including a home run. He's gone deep 4 times already this year.
I know it's early, but the 2 guys leading the majors in extra base hits.
Yep.
Ozzie Albies and Didi Gregorius. Go figure.
Yeah, Gregorius. Remember when he was first up with the Reds, and you know, he's a glove first kind of guy. He's turned into an outstanding offensive player.
Popped him up. And the wind will give him another chance.
Kevin Seitzer is the hitting coach for the Atlanta Braves. He says Albies is maybe pound for pound the strongest guy in their club.
Kevin could hit. Career .295.
Wow. Kevin with the hood pulled up next to Walt Weiss, who's the bench coach.
Another foul. Still 0-2 on Albies.
96 from Darvish. Last start he was 94 to 96 throughout his outing. So would that make him the Marvin Hagler of baseball?
I suppose so.
Maybe pound for pound, or
pound for pound.
Boom Boom Mancini, maybe.
Season series moves to Atlanta in mid-May. 3 here, 3 at SunTrust Park. Cubs have dominated the Braves the last few seasons. That's low. They've won 15 of their last 19.
Good looking pitch. Not well presented by Contreras, and that may have cost Darvish. It was borderline. Again, Albie's not a real tall guy. And Wilson is set up outer third, has to reach back across his body. Sitting down the middle, they might get the call there.
Here's his 1-2. And Albies keeps fouling off 2-strike pitches.
Yeah, and this is where I think, I think there's a tendency for you to fall in love with that fastball slider cutter combination. And if he starts to mix in the changeup, a slower curveball a little bit more, he might generate more swings and misses. I mean, he's having a hard time finishing these guys off here this afternoon. A lot of it might be feel too, coming out of the bullpen. You might not feel good. The curveball's coming out of your hand on a cold day like today. As I mentioned earlier, the dexterity sometimes is an issue.
Right back to Darvish. So they have stranded 5 over the first 2 innings. Still 0-0. You know sports, so let's hear what you've got to say. Join Sierra Santos and Luke Stuckmeyer on Facebook Live weeknights at 5 for The Rush, presented by GMC. Kyle Schwarber leading it off. 5 hits over his last 2 games. Big day yesterday, including a home run. And takes low for ball 1 from Sanchez. Braves came in with a 2.98 team ERA, 5th in the majors.
Bullpen's been really good for Atlanta. Here's the home run from Kyle yesterday, his 3rd on the season. Added a double right down the 3rd baseline that bounced off the base, and a single the other way as well.
There's a strike, and it's 2-1.
Going into a matchup against Sanchez, you're thinking has to be any pitch in any count.
Fastball 89 to make it 2-2.
I think the fastball in the zone kind of becomes a surprise pitch for him. Okay? Guys are so aware of the off-speed stuff.
Called strike 3.
3rd punch out already.
Everybody is in. Rizzo, O'Brien, Javi, Kyle, and the rest of the boys getting ready for another shot at October Glory. Be a part of it all season long at Wrigley Field. Tickets are still available for the Cardinals series, which begins this Monday night. Get your seats now at Cubs.com. Russell, the batter. Strike 1 called.
Hey, you don't suffer from trichodextrophobia, do you?
That would be the fear of the number 13.
Yeah.
I do not.
Good.
It is Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
Cubs will play twice on Friday the 13th this season. I know there have been a few occasions on the road we have stayed on the 13th floor, which some people wouldn't like. Albies makes the play.
Yeah, well, a lot of hotels don't even have a 13th floor.
Right.
Because people are insane.
Javier Baez. The big series against the Pirates His 4 homers, 10 RBIs, and 10 runs all lead the club. And he goes after a high one and fouls it into the upper deck.
Sanchez led the American League in ERA 2013 with a 2.57, finished 4th in the Cy Young voting that year.
If you break down his career, 06 to 14 with the Marlins and Tigers, almost 200 career starts, a 3.53 ERA. 2015 to last year, his final 3 years in Detroit, 88 games including 68 starts, a 5.67. So it has not gone very well for him here the last several years.
Change of scenery as he joins the Braves, a chance to reset.
Swing and a miss. Remember, he re-signed with Detroit after being traded there to a 5-year deal after the Cubs reportedly were close to a deal with him.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a changeup coming on 3-2, and he gets Baez. So he's got 4 strikeouts here early on, and we're 0-0 after 2.
Game report. Chris Bryant back over at first, making his 9th career start there. And he said before the game he went out, took a couple of grounders just to get comfortable once again over there. But a position, Lynn, as you were mentioning, that is somewhat uncomfortable for him, just knowing what you should do in certain situations, but knows as a third baseman should be a big target and get over there as soon as he can. But Chris went on to say that he likes to make himself uncomfortable, push himself outside of that comfort zone, so much so that he will take cold showers, guys, from time to time to trick his mind a little bit. I don't know, with the 40-degree temperatures we have here today, if that's a great idea, but hey, it works for him, so whatever, right?
There are health benefits to doing that, and I am not the kind of person who wants to try it. How about you, JD?
No.
Not now, especially.
No. I like to get out of my comfort zone. Sometimes I'll have pizza without sausage.
Just cheese and sauce.
Mushrooms, yeah.
2 strikes on Freddie Freeman, singled in the first inning. Darvish with an 0-2, and it's wide. 1-2. Last time Darvish was on this mound was during last year's National League Championship Series with the Dodgers. Swing and a miss. Freeman is out. That's Darvish's first strikeout coming here in the 3rd inning.
Yeah, tough to beat Freeman in the zone with a fastball, but Darvish was able to slip one by him. I think that was a fastball. It almost looked like some kind of a split finger grip, didn't it?
I think it was a splitter.
Didn't really move like a splitter.
Split change at 89 miles an hour.
Clearly, that's what it was, yeah, because this fastball is 95, 96. It's definitely a splitter. And the action wasn't good, but the off-speed nature of the pitch got the job done. It almost looked like Freeman was late.
One and one on Markakis. So that is up to date. 12 consecutive appearances with a strikeout. Brandon Morrow on that list as well. A little tougher for a closer, though, to keep that streak going.
Pitching an inning at a time, and again, a borderline pitch. Darvish getting a little frustrated with Bruce Dreckman here. If I were Bruce Dreckman, I'd be hunting strikes on this cold afternoon, but he has more integrity than I do.
You said it, not me.
I'd be thinking about a big steak or a plate of pasta. Better be swinging, boys.
Russell from the shortstop position makes the catch.
This Sunday, Cubs Braves first pitch at 1:20, and up to the first 10,000 early arriving fans receive a pair of Cubs athletic socks presented by Uber. Following the game, the first 1,000 kids 13 and younger will have the opportunity to run the bases, weather permitting. For tickets and information, visit Cubs.com. And if you're a real savvy kid, you slip on your new socks and you run around the bases with those on.
Here's Kurt Suzuki, the Hawaii native. But some time with the Twins, so not totally unfamiliar with this kind of weather.
He was an all-star with the Twins in 2014.
Oh, and 2 on Suzuki.
Not only do hitters have to deal with the stuff that Darvish has, but a little funk in that delivery too, with that hesitation, that double leg pump that he features. Here comes a change.
Speaking of the North Star State, congrats to Joe Mauer, got his 2,000th career hit in a win against the White Sox last night. So there's a good trivia question, JD, you might want to memorize.
Hit leaders born in the Twin Cities.
2 guys with over 3,000. Now 3 with at least 2K. On the ground to Russell. He's got time. And Darvish with a nice 3rd inning, including his first strikeout of the afternoon.
Miller Lite. Look forward to the hold true moment later in today's ball game.
I've got today's take brought to you by AARP. Jason Hayward with good numbers against Anibal Sanchez. 5 for 13 plus 4 walks. Sanchez has 4 strikeouts through the first 2 innings. I mentioned Albies last year made his major league debut as a Brave at 20 years old. Jason Hayward did the same thing back in 2010 with his hometown team.
The Braves have done a real nice job signing and acquiring local products. Hayward, McCann, Francoeur, that whole bunch. There's a number of Atlanta area guys playing with the Braves. Back in the day, you talked about Swanson being a Georgia kid.
Tyler Flowers.
Yeah. It's a very fertile area there. Turned on a lot of players. The red Georgia clay, I guess.
Brandon Phillips was briefly a Brave, right?
Last year. Yeah. Where is Brandon Phillips these days? Is he employed?
That's a strike. He is currently unsigned. Yeah. Darvish and then Happ to follow Hayward.
This is a 3rd appearance for Sanchez. First worked in relief. 3 innings of scoreless ball against the Nationals and a start on the 7th in Colorado. That went well. He's thrown the ball well here today. He really has command of all of his pitches. And he's got the Cub hitters off balance. And they look soft. He sneaks a piece of cheese by him. And he's gotten some chases on his changeup. He hasn't made many mistakes in the middle of the zone, if any. got a no-hitter on his resume. He did that while pitching for the Marlins against the Diamondbacks way back in '06.
And Hayward draws the walk. Look at that.
Hey, that guy looks like Seinfeld, kind of.
I was looking at the ball, but yeah.
Yeah, he tore the cover off that ball. Like the slow motion reaction of the guy in the ski cap.
So Darvish ready to bunt. Flaherty way in at third. And kind of an awkward landing there by Hayward, as I believe he was putting on that wrist guard.
Darvish can handle the bat a little bit, and Brian Snitker probably ordering those throwovers to see if Darvish will tip his hand. If Flaherty gets too aggressive there, they may encourage Darvish just to do a little slug bunt.
Pushes it foul. Past a streaking Freddie Freeman.
Yeah. So in this situation, as a bunter, really your primary focus is just get the ball down far enough away from the catcher. You know, the pitcher or corner infielder has to make a play on the ball. But with Flaherty charging as aggressively as he is, that gets in your head a little bit, and you start thinking about having to direct the ball.
Like that. 0-2.
Yeah. Gives you one more thing to think about.
It almost has the look, as Flaherty's playing way in and Freeman then comes sprinting in like it's a triple team or double team in basketball, right? Like a full court press.
Yeah, they're going to try to
for
trap
an outlet.
him. Yeah, trap him in the corner.
That is foul.
With Hayward on the move, so we'll play a little run and hit there. Making sure you stay out of the double play. Bay Steelers are 5 for 5 so far this year with Suzuki behind the plate. Career-wise, he's caught 24%, which is a little bit below league average. Patrons are getting restless with all these throwovers.
Well, he gets a hold of one. Inciarte will run it down. So Darvish is out. And it'll bring up Ian Happ. Xfinity X1 customers say, show me the Chicago Cubs into your X1 voice remote and get live team stats on your TV. Change the way you experience TV with Xfinity X1. Switch hitting Ian Happ takes outside. We'd like to welcome all our viewers watching the Cubs on NBC Sports Chicago via Rockwell Cooperative Telephone in Rockwell, Iowa. Also those watching coast to coast on MLB Network and on ESPN UK. 2-0 on Ian Happ. Scoreless tie, bottom of the third inning in the series opener.
Happ a strikeout victim first time up, got caught looking. Sanchez started him with soft stuff early and then cut fastball, found the strike zone for the strikeout.
Sounded like he cracked his bat. That ball will die as a base hit. So if he doesn't crack the bat, that's probably an out.
Cubs have 2 hits today. They both come on broken bats. Bryant shattered his bat. Now another one off the end of the bat. Out in front of the changeup was Happ. But this is how big innings are built, right? Little walk at the bottom of the order. Lucky hit. Now you got 2, 3, 4 coming up here. Got a chance to do some damage.
Hooked foul on the ground by La Stella. Tommy was an 8th round pick of the Braves out of Coastal Carolina University, 2011.
That's in Myrtle Beach.
Straight up 1-for-1 deal. Arodys Vizcaíno for La Stella. Prior to 2015, Vizcaíno is now their closer. That'll take Freeman right to the base. So Bryant will come up with 2 in scoring position and 2 outs.
Anthony Rizzo on the disabled list, hoping to be activated before the Cardinals series that starts on Monday. Took some ground balls today. Also BP looked good in the cage. Looks like he's on target.
Bases loaded as Bryant gets clipped.
This was probably a pitch around situation from Sanchez's point of view anyway, and didn't want to make a mistake over the plate. Two-seam runner catches Bryant.
Three on, 2 down. Contreras takes wide, ball 1.
Contreras, a lifetime .375 hitter with the bases loaded and the temperature less than 40 degrees.
Where did you dig out that one?
I just made it up. Could be true.
1-1.
He's done a lot of good work here lately to the middle of the diamond. Good power the other way. Extra base power in that left or right center alley. Be a good approach against Sanchez here. He's shown the ability to throw his changeup to both sides of the plate. Hey.
There you go.
Yeah. So I don't know how many of those ABs he's had. Temperature's below 40, but he's been awfully good with the bases loaded.
Trying to break a scoreless tie here in the 3rd inning. 1-2. Going to be a tough play for Swanson. But he makes it. Middle infield had made a couple of nice plays to get Contreras. Cubs leave the bases loaded. 0-0 to the 4th.
Watch every out-of-market regular season game live at home, in the office, or on the go with MLB.tv. Your subscription includes MLB At Bat Premium, allowing you to watch live baseball on your favorite supported devices. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.tv for details. 6, 7, 8 due up for the Braves here in the top half of the 4th. Darvish worked awfully hard the first couple of innings. Braves left 2 in the first, left the bases loaded in the second, but a clean 1, 2, 3 third for you.
Foul strike on Preston Tucker.
His brother Kyle, a big-time prospect with the Astros, so they were both over there. From the Tampa, Florida region.
Both teams have left the bases loaded. Braves in the second, Cubs in the third. Ground ball, and backing up is Baez to make the play. Today's NBC Sports Chicago bar of the game, presented by Miller Lite, is Yaxie's. If you aren't headed to Wrigley Field, watch today's NBC Sports broadcast at Yaxie's to see the complete list of bars of the game presented by Miller Lite. Visit NBCSportsChicago.com. Spent a little time over there with Lynn Bramer and Mary Dixon for the XRT opening day broadcast. That ball yanked into the left field corner by Swanson. And he's going to stay at second base with a double. One out double for Swanson.
Aggressive turn to second base here as Schwarber hustled over to get that ball back in. Because of the wells here, this ballpark yields more triples in the corners than they do in the gap. Certainly the off-field corner, and you're not going to see too many in left field.
Two leading teams in the NL early in 2 base hits. Flaherty singled in his first at bat. Yeah, I mentioned his dad. Ed has been a longtime college coach. Over 3 decades at Southern Maine, and has 2 Division III titles on his resume. Ryan from Portland, Maine. One ball and 1 strike.
The University of Maine used to have an outstanding baseball program.
I think his dad played there before he went into coaching.
Brian Butterfield's dad coached at the University of Maine.
Two and one on the veteran utility man, Ryan Flaherty. Here it comes, and it's low. It's 3-1. Didn't miss by much. Pitcher is on deck.
Yeah, it looked like that one may have been a little bit on Wilson too. Kind of stabbed at that one. Darvish can't be an easy guy to catch. Throws hard, has a lot of movement.
Four hits for Atlanta. Cubs have 2 on a frigid Friday afternoon here at Wrigley. Called strike 3. Number 2 for you.
Backdoor slider. Curls over the outside corner. That time outstanding work by Contreras.
Anibal Sanchez has 1 career triple. It was the first triple ever hit at Marlins Park in 2012. One and one on him.
Other than that, not much with the bat, though, huh? 087 lifetime.
Yeah, 2 career extra base hits. That's it.
2 more than me. He's running.
And bunted. How about that? Oh, and Contreras threw it away. We've got.
He's going to be out.
Interference. And Brian Snitker is going to head out, no doubt. So the umpires getting together here, but the call was made at first by Chad Fairchild, and now Snitker will chat with Bruce Dreckman, but the Cubs are walking off the field.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah, Snitker doesn't look like he's going to challenge this one. Look at Swanson to me. He could have walked into third base. No, and that's
clearly out of the lane. That's the right call. So, how about that? Runner going and a bunt with 2 outs. Throw gets away, but he's out because he interfered with the throw, and we're still scoreless.
With Cubs checking and an official Cubs MasterCard debit card only available at your local Wintrust Community Bank. Go to wintrust.com/Cubs to learn more. Members FDIC.
Let's see how the top of the 4th inning came to an end. They saw Swanson take off for third. Sanchez lays down a bunt, but he was outside the running lane and called out. So 2-3 on the interference call.
This looks like the play the Cleveland Indians pulled off in the movie Major League.
Right.
Hell of an idea.
Let's check in with Kelly.
Yeah, guys, well, right after that play, I saw Chris Bryant come into the dugout and go straight over to Anthony Rizzo, and I couldn't hear the conversation, but I thought it might have something to do with that throw from Contreras and how fast and hard it's coming in there, but Rizzo kind of showed him the stance of how he gets ready for it, so kind of an interesting back and forth between those two here in the dugout.
Yeah, and it was about a, what, 45-foot throw.
Yeah.
1 strike on Schwarber. Here's the pitch. Change up low and away.
Cubs didn't do much offensively yesterday. Just a couple of broken bat hits so far here today.
Fouled out of play. And the count is 1-2. That is high. StatCast had Wilson's throw to first at 88 miles an hour. And is fouled.
He must have taken a little something off.
Yeah. Two on Schwarber. All bundled up. Good spoiler there. And the count holds.
Tomorrow, Jose Quintana will pitch for the Cubs. Sean Newcomb, big lefty, will go for Atlanta. Sunday, Tyler Chatwood and Julio Teheran will match up.
Schwarber batting 5th, playing left field. No Zobrist today in the lineup. Albert Almora Jr. late scratch due to illness. Diving stab, Ozzie Albies. What a play.
You talk about the shortstop arm at second base, but it's, the shortstop range as well. This kid can flat out play. He's made 2 spectacular plays in this ball game. This little dynamo is just explosive.
So instead of a leadoff single, 1 out, nobody on, and Russell takes a strike on a slow curve.
A little move he did there, we got from his belly to his feet. Took me 19 minutes to do that this morning.
Fly ball to right. Markakis starting to run out of room, but he's got just enough right up against that side wall to retire Russell. We're going to send StatCast to your place tomorrow. Belly to his feet, 19.3 minutes. Baez with 2 outs. Wow, look at that. That almost ended up fair. I don't think Baez even saw where it went.
Yeah. A little massé on the pool table. Willie Mosconi action. Even with a good changeup down and away last time.
Outside that time. 1 ball, 1 strike on Baez. 4 home runs. They all came over 2 days earlier this week against the Pirates. Swing and a miss.
Yeah, that's been a big pitch for him, and again, the ability to execute that changeup to the glove side, that's not easy to do. Most pitchers, most righties are going to go breaking ball off the plate, but Sanchez really likes that changeup away.
Curveball at under 70.
Yeah. Sanchez had something in mind, and it's taken a while for Suzuki to get there.
And he got him on a slider. Looking to end the frame. Got some help from his defense to start it. To the 5th inning. 0-0.
As part of the Cubs' ongoing effort to restore and modernize Wrigley Field, several sections of seats have been or will be removed. These seats are now available to purchase in sets of 2. Visit Cubs.com/seat sale for more information.
Well, the good news for the Cubs is Yu Darvish has kept down a Braves offense that is averaging 5.5 runs per game. On the flip side, Anibal Sanchez has only allowed 2 singles and no runs to the Cubs bats. 1 strike on Ender Inciarte. There's the 0-1. It is just outside. Congratulations to Marty Peavy, who yesterday grabbed his 1,000th professional win as a manager. 356 have come with Iowa. He is the team's winningest skipper in franchise history. And by the way, this is the 50th year of baseball in Iowa.
Congratulations, Marty. Quite an accomplishment.
Absolutely. Punched foul by Inciarte. Had the note 201 hits last year. Can you name the previous Brave with a 200 hit season?
Ralph Garr.
Think a little later.
Okay, let me work on this a little bit. Terry Pendleton.
You're in the ballpark. 1996. Marquise Grissom.
Okay.
Swing and a miss. Strike 3.
Number 3 for Darvish. Sayarte can normally count on him to make contact. This is an elevated cutter or slider that gets the job done. That swing through slider, that as a pitcher, you're not really trying to make that pitch, throw that pitch in that spot, but you get a lot of guys to pull off that pitch.
Albies 0 for 2, but has made his mark on defense today. Shows bunt, takes the pitch high. Big shift in the weather yesterday. It started out warm, got very cold mid-game. Today it's been cold throughout. The wind's been howling in out of the north and northeast.
Speaking of Marquise Grissom, did you see that Delano DeShields' daughter was a first-round pick by the Chicago team here in the WNBA draft?
I did not.
Yeah.
That's great.
So Delano Sr., Delano Jr., and now the Diamond DeShields, all first-round picks.
That's awesome. Backed him off the plate. It's 3-0.
She played her college ball at Tennessee. Now she's third overall by the Chicago Sky.
Now 3-1. Pulled fair to right. Albies lost his helmet as he races towards second, and he's head first with a double.
Braves fans got to love this kid. He's an exciting player to watch. Flopping around out there in the field now with a double. Head first dive into second base. Curacao, right? Isn't that where he's from?
Yes.
That's where Andrew Jones was from.
Freeman takes a strike.
And one of these segments we do with Doug Glanville, we'll have to get his take on Andrew Jones, Hall of Famer or not, and talk about his outfield play.
Chipper is on the cover of the Braves media guide going into the Hall of Fame this year. I know you like little, as you call them, little factoids. Ozzie Albies was the first player born in 1997 to hit a home run in the majors. It's a Friday. We want to give people stuff to ask their buddies.
Yeah, at happy hour tonight. Did you know?
1-1 on Freddie Freeman, California native.
He's been walking a bunch, not striking out much, but Darvish got him to start the third.
Let's see what StatCast thought of Ozzie Albies. 29 feet per second. Pretty good. I think the average is 27 something.
Reminds you of Altuve a little bit.
Yeah, similar body type.
Big pitch coming. Man in scoring position, worth a chat. This would be the first mound visit used by the Cubs today.
Too bad Rizzo is on the DL, just because the Cubs would love to have him in the lineup. But, you know, whenever we see the Braves, we tend to talk a lot about Freeman and Rizzo. They have similar tracks in terms of their major league careers. First baseman, left-handed hitters. Freeman got to the big leagues a little earlier than Anthony did. It's just so hard, isn't it, to stand out as an offensive first baseman.
Just thinking about that with Freeman, Votto, Rizzo, Goldschmidt.
And now Bellinger.
Bellinger.
It's ridiculous. Outside for a ball. What do we got, a balk?
Somebody call a balk. And Joe's coming out. You can't argue the balk, but I think Joe's going to come out and ask for an explanation. Certainly set long enough.
Oh, I think so. When he there,
right
I think is what they called. Maybe that he pulled the ball
out.
For a second.
With a man on base in the stretch position, once you come set, and then start to go, you're supposed to not stop again. It's funny, you know, you could turn your back to the hitter. You could do, you know, some different funky things out there, but I'm sure that's what Dreckman is saying. There's a stop and go.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what it was, but there was just a little hitch that, you know, balks tend to be called when something just doesn't look right. So infield in. That could be a huge call in this game. Freeman strikes out. A huge strikeout for Darvish. 2 down.
Goes back to that split change. You get Freeman for the second time.
Freeman had been deadly with men in scoring position. Have been 8 out of 12 this season. Prior to that strikeout. So Markakis with the infield back and 2 gone. Time called. A strike. Gets away, and Albies will score the first run. Wild pitch. Charged to Darvish. 1-0 Atlanta. So the double by Albies, but then a balk and a wild pitch.
Yeah, that's a tough one to block there. Just overcooks that slider or cutter down and in. Just continues to run away. And Contreras not able to slide out there quickly enough to keep that one in front.
Meanwhile, 1-1 to Markakis. Make it 1-2.
Kind of an eventful day for Darvish here in that he's been charged with a throwing error, a balk, and now a run-scoring wild pitch.
2-2 sliders off the plate. Markakis walked in the first and popped out in the third.
You 4 1/3 innings in his first start at Miami, allowed 5 hits, 5 runs. He went 6 innings last time through 94 pitches in Milwaukee, 102 in Miami, at 87 now.
And a ground ball into center field. That'll bring up Suzuki for the third time. 0 for 2, a line out and a ground out. First, runner back. And there you see a former Cub in the background, Eric Young Sr. EY stole 54 for the Cubs in his age 33 season in 2000.
Markakis doesn't run anymore. A few years back with Baltimore, he steal the occasional bag.
Just outside, fastball at 95.
It's fairly typical for in a Darvish start to see a lot of deep counts. He is not a guy who's pitching to contact. Trying to generate swings and misses.
Off the glove of La Stella. Markakis to third. He'll be held there. Suzuki's got a double. So after Albies scored on the wild pitch, Braves trying to rally a little more here. Tucker will come up with 2 on.
Yeah, on a day where Sanchez has been really good. The Braves bullpen has been outstanding so far this year, and with the weather conditions, runs are going to be tough to come by. This is a huge at bat right here. Stella gets a little leather on that one. He slowed that ball down just enough for Schwarber to be able to cut it off. Otherwise, they'd probably score. Just getting a very comfortable lead with Estella playing way off the line. Oh man, good pitch. Darvish exasperated a few times here today. Borderline for sure, but pretty darn good.
Really making him work here in the 5th inning. Well over 20 pitches. Pats the rosin bag, and now.
And Darvish due to bat second in the bottom half of the inning.
So this feels like it's going to be it. A drive to right, way back, and gone. It bounces onto Sheffield. Home run number 3 for Preston Tucker. And it's 4-0 Atlanta. And all of this happening after 2 outs, nobody on, following the wild pitch that scored Albies.
Yeah, single double home run. It's a 3-run home run for Tucker. There's your Ford home run replay. This is reminiscent of Cervelli in the Pirates series. A couple 3-run jacks. Now for sure the Cubs will definitely be looking to hit for Darvish in the bottom of the inning.
When the Braves have homered, they've gone 7-0, 0-5 without a home run. This did not look like the kind of day where the home run would be all that likely. But that ball was crushed.
Yeah, I think the ball to left will get knocked down. The hope there with the wind blowing was that it would just curl foul, but Tucker able to keep it fair.
So the Braves don't mind playing these matinees, at least early in the season. 2 balls, no strikes. Over 30 pitches here in the 5th inning for Darvish. One missed badly, 3-0. Well, we've seen him around the plate all day, but this particular sequence, certainly wonder if the home run affected him.
Ooh, yeah.
Ball 4. He's
Looks
clearly frustrated
right now, doesn't he?
How hard is it sometimes to recover after you give up a big home run like
well,
that?
yeah, you know, with just the balk, a wild pitch. There was that call that he thought was a strike was called a ball. So a lot of things in his mind. There's a lot of things conspiring against him here in this inning, and so the mind starts to race. It's his first start here at home. He's probably jacked up for it. Yeah, so just a lot of things going on, swirling around in his mind right now, and Jim Hickey's out there to try to clean that up a little bit. Likely the Cubs will get somebody going in the bullpen. I think Swanson will be looking to try to steal a base here.
Don't have the breakdown of fastball slider. There's Dunsing up. But it's worth asking the question as you become too reliant on his slider. Bunted toward third. La Stella will just have to eat it. So Flaherty keeps the inning alive for the pitcher.
Yeah, I don't get that play. I mean, you see the shift and you think you get yourself a knock here, but you got a pitcher on deck with a lifetime 087 batting average. I think one of two things: you let Swanson try to steal a base and drive him in, or you try to drive the ball into a gap and plate him with an extra base hit. But I'm sure he would say, well, if nothing else, I keep the line moving and we clear the pitcher spot in the batting order, which is a legitimate point.
So to ask my question
yeah,
in another way,
yes,
he's got a good fastball. Does he throw it enough to establish that pitch? It feels like the
for me, what I've
slider's been
seen
his
so far, no, and
establishing
I think, and again, not knowing exactly how he's feeling out there today, and what I haven't seen from you is just that, fastball command, boom, at the knees, outside edge, start there, and then work the slider off of that.
Yeah, everything's been, hard, but it feels like he's been pitching off the slider a lot, as opposed to that fastball.
And like I said, you know, so much of what he tries to do is get you to miss. You know, he's not throwing. He doesn't like to throw two seamers in the zone down around the. Hey, put it in play. Let's get a ground ball to short. That's not part of his pitching DNA.
Well, it's 3-1 on the pitcher with Inciarte on deck. Ball 4.
Yeah. Flaherty's looking pretty good now, dropping that bunt down, and Darvish mentally he's just fried right now. He's going to come out of this ball game.
So here comes Joe before Inciarte bats for the second time here in the 5th inning. Pitching change in the 5th, 4-0 Atlanta. The Cubs announced a new online ticket purchase opportunity to expand access for fans interested in buying Cubs tickets at an affordable price. The team will now offer 60 tickets located in the lower level terrace for just $10 for every regular season home game. Fans can register online for the chance to purchase up to 4 tickets. Registration opens 48 hours before the game, closes 24 hours prior to the scheduled first pitch. No fee to enter. For details, Cubs.com/1060 tickets. This is Brian Dunsing.
Good work for Dunsing so far. He's on for the 8th time, has an ERA of 0. He's not yet allowed a hit to a left-handed batter. And if you're wondering how many he has faced, the answer is 10.
This is a big out to get. I mean, it's already 4-0, but they've got the bases loaded, and they're trying to put this thing to bed here in the 5th inning.
Shorten up and to the other side a little bit in the outfield for Inciarte, especially with the left-handed pitcher on the mound. He's trying to be real quiet with his lower body, just use his hands. He just wants to play a little pepper with the left fielder or the center fielder here.
Six men have reached since Freddie Freeman struck out. And remember, that was a second out of the inning. Kind of felt like you could see the light at the end of the tunnel. And a scoreless tie. Dunsing throws to first in time to get Inciarte. So they leave the bases loaded for the second time, but they put up a 4 spot before that. Quintana will pitch for the Cubs in Game 2 against the Braves. Coverage starts at 12:30 with Cubs pregame live. You can stream the game live on the NBC Sports app. We are hoping for, if not expecting, total cooperation from Mother Nature tomorrow.
The forecast isn't good, is it?
No.
For the rest of the weekend.
Fingers are crossed. Anibal Sanchez now working with a 4-0 lead as he looks for his first win as a Brave. Has to get through the requisite 5 innings to qualify. And he'll face Hayward, pinch hitter Efren Navarro, and then Ian Happ. One strike on Hayward.
Yeah,
Walked in the third.
There are some days at Wrigley Field, if you're down 4 runs, no big deal. Hot summer day with the wind blowing out, you figure you're going to be able to put some points on the board. Today's not one of those days. You have to really work hard here to come back. Sanchez has got his A game out there today. This is a guy, Anibal Sanchez, who was 3-7 with a .641 last year. Made 17 starts and pitched 11 times out of the bullpen.
Trying to kind of reestablish himself at this level. Fly ball well hit out into right and caught by Markakis on the warning track. So Hayward just misses. 1 out.
Looked good, sounded good.
Center now instead of kind of a little bit of a crosswind. Here's Navarro for Dunsing. Oh, and 1 on Navarro, the pinch hitter.
Usually about this time of the game, the bench guys will be up in the tunnel, up in the cage, getting some swings in.
I don't know if you saw the story the other day. Brandon McCarthy dislocated his left shoulder and they kind of popped it back in. It was an injury he had last year. He thinks he's going to make his next start. It's a non-pitching shoulder for McCarthy.
And we won't see him in this series. We won't see Big Mike Fultonevich, who's off to a very good start for the Braves. And it looks like we're going to see Pedro Strop.
One and 2 on the pinch hitter. 1 out, nobody on. Braves lead 4-0, 5th inning. Navarro with previous major league time in the American League. Angels in Detroit. Had a real nice spring. Down the line, foul, just foul.
Off the bat, looked like maybe a 2-base hit for Navarro. Hayward hit his ball hard. Cubs have not hit many balls hard here today off Sanchez. Has not had to work under a whole lot of pressure.
Yeah, before the game, we put a gentleman's bet on who would have more strikeouts. Without hesitation, we both would have said Darvish, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, he struck out 4. Sanchez already has 5.
So had some pitches leak out over the middle of the plate here in this sequence.
Change up and took a lot off that one.
Yeah, I'm not sure. That's some kind of yeah, that's his circle change. He's been throwing at 79, 80, but he really manages to take the air out of that one.
Took 10 miles an hour off that pitch. Well, you know, it makes sense, right? If you think about it, you know, the idea of the changing speeds. You establish the speed of your changeup, and if you can take even more off, why not?
Yeah, and especially if you're not a hard thrower, you're trying to get some separation between your fastball and your change.
I guess the key is your arm action.
Right, and that's the thing. It's a hard. I think it would be very hard to throw that changeup at that velocity and not tip it off.
Out in a deep left. Tucker twisting on the track and retires half. Couple of balls hit to the deep part of the yard, but for outs here in the 5th.
Your Miller Lite Game Report. We are joined by our Cubs insider, Doug Lampill, who had a chance to catch up with Jason Hayward this morning and talked about all kinds of things, you said. But one of the things Cubs fans have certainly come to learn about him is his leadership. The rain delay speech will forever go down in history as one of the greatest moments. He also brings so much defensively. But what was your favorite part that you took away from that conversation this morning?
Well, yeah, Kelly, I mean, just understanding, you hear his name and you equate it to leadership, but the way he described leadership today was really insightful. He's talking about players like Javi Baez, players who have less experience than you would expect, but also are leaders. They set the tone in other ways. It's not just X's and O's. It's not just experience and time, but it's also their approach to the game. So hearing about Baez being a leader in terms of how he inspires players, how he's able to be a catalyst for this team, this was really insightful hearing from him as someone who's always seen as that guy, that leader. But we keep in mind, you know, he's only 28 years old. So you think of him as being around forever, but he came up early and obviously just making some adjustments. But it was just impressive to hear about how he understands the different personalities and the value of those personalities for this team.
Yeah, 8 major league seasons already. Originally drafted by the Braves here, a guy who grew up in Georgia, but we already saw him make quite a defensive play here in the 2nd inning and saved a run for the Cubs, something he does so often out there.
Well, absolutely. His defense is one of his cornerstone skill sets. And in the 2nd inning, sometimes it's just about intimidation. He has a reputation. They know he's an accurate thrower. He has a strong arm, and he keeps that runner at bay. So in talking to him earlier, he said, look, it's just as important to keep runs off the board as it is to knock them in. So if I'm not hitting as well as I am hitting, then therefore I can find ways defensively. And when you look at his metrics over the year, not only does he play great defense in right field, but he takes away the big hits. His strength is deep, plays that are deep at the wall, and those are extra base hits where teams do a lot of damage and put up some big innings. So he does a lot of these little things outside of his leadership skills, and so his contribution is really widespread.
Certainly, and on a day with the wind blowing out here like it is today at Wrigley, it's always fun to watch him play. Doug, thank you so much for your insight as always. Guys, Pedro Strip on the mound now. Let's send it up to you.
Thank you, Kelly and Doug, and Jason just had to go play that ball off the wall as Ozzie Albies, who's had quite an afternoon, now has 2 doubles to go along with his defense.
Yeah, he gives this one quite a ride into the right field corner. He doubled and scored last time. It's a little man, but he can swing it. He is strong. As we mentioned earlier, he's leading the league in extra base hits. He's tacked on 2 here today. Strop has been outstanding so far this year, but going to work out of this leadoff double situation.
Freeman in the air to deep left center. Schwarber caught it. What a catch by Kyle Schwarber. And hopefully he's all right. Kind of a glancing blow off the wall. And without the ivy grown in, very little padding, so to speak. That is a great play.
Yeah, a guy who does not have a good reputation defensively, and I think probably a little bit underrated. He's not an outstanding defender out there by any means, but I think he's better than most people give him credit for, and that was a beautiful play.
Well, that was certainly a run saver. And now it's Markakis. A couple of former Orioles matching up here. Strop and Markakis. And a strike from Pedro.
Yeah, that takes great concentration. You hit the warning track here at Wrigley Field, you know you're steps away from running into a brick wall.
Got the vines out there, but we see a lot of brick. And most ballparks have a lot of padding. Fouled out of play off of third. Another foul. Braves 2 for 10 with men in scoring position. The Cubs haven't had many chances, just 0 for 2. Braves have had a lot more traffic. In the dirt, blocked by Contreras. Strop will turn 33 in June. Called strike 3.
Good movement on that pitch from Strop. Markakis not buying it. A two-seamer in the bottom of the knees.
Stella with a catch. Suzuki lines out for the second time today. So Strop works around the leadoff double. 4-0 Atlanta.
Field. Check out all the available transportation and parking options. The Cubs offer a free bike check located by the Addison Red Line station. And if you drive, the Cubs provide free remote parking and shuttle service on night and weekend games. For information, visit the A to Z guide at Cubs.com.
Tommy La Stella takes outside for a ball. That's on the outside corner. 1-1 the count. We're going to do a little broadcaster swap in the top of the 7th. Former Cub announcer Chip Carey will sing the stretch, so we'll have Chip come over and do a little play-by-play, and you get to hang with Joe Simpson.
I'll go hang with Joe.
You guys can reminisce a little bit. Your careers would not have overlapped. You just missed him. And he finished his career, let's see, Dodgers, and then Seattle and Kansas City. La Stella with a base hit. Good start to the Cubs' 6th.
It's the third hit of the day for the Cubs, and the first time they didn't have to replace a broken bat. Braves were off yesterday, so bullpen probably pretty set to go here this afternoon. And first sign of trouble, I would think Brian Snitker would get somebody up in that pen.
One strike to Chris. Already on base twice. He's playing first base today. With Anthony Rizzo out, we've seen Caratini, Zobrist, Bryant all get starts there. Efrain Navarro might at some point as well. There's some action. Sam Freeman and Peter Moylan.
Cub bullpen, it's Mike Montgomery getting ready.
They'll get one, but not two. Chris Bryant rarely hits into double plays, and that's one of the reasons why when he does hit a ground ball, he runs really hard. Those long strides. Albies thinks he turned it, but I think
quick. It's close. I don't know if it's close enough for the Braves to challenge.
They will.
See, now this is that conversation we always have. When instant replay was first implemented, I thought that this call would rarely be challenged because, you know, the bang banger, because of this whole idea that you have to have conclusive proof. And as we look at most of these replays, we can't tell. Obviously in New York they have different looks and different technology. I don't know that this was what they had in mind with replay, that, you know, that they were going to break it down to every frame to be able to come up with an idea.
Yeah, I do think it is one of the unintended consequences. By the way, Chris, in his major league career, this is his 4th season. He's played 470 career games, has grounded into 18 double plays. If you look at his profile, right, a 6'5" third baseman, guys like that typically would hit into 18 in a season.
Yeah, two things. He doesn't hit it on the ground a lot, and he runs really well. And usually when he does, it's on the left side of the diamond. So if it's a third baseman, 2 long throws to get him. He gets a real nice break, and it's safe. Good call here. It didn't take a lot of time. By the way, that shot of the umpire with his hat off and the headphones on over that hoodie thing, he looked like a Teletubby. Just not for nothing, but. And the other thing he doesn't do, because, you know, a lot of guys ground ball, they're frustrated and they kind of hesitate, get a late break. I mean, he's off to the races as soon as he puts it in play.
No! Just about got picked off. And Sanchez, I think, wants a replay, but the Braves can't do it. They cannot ask for one. They just lost their challenge. So if he's going to pick off Chris Bryant, it's got to be obvious. Try it again.
Yeah, interesting that he's so concerned with him here in this 4-0 ball game. Either he is or his manager is. A lot of times those calls will come from the dugout.
That begs another point. You know, Sanchez kind of looking in the Braves dugout. First and 0-1. It's outside. I think there's an expectation that every play can be reviewed, and I think what teams have learned is they're not even challenging unless they're almost convinced they're going to get it overturned. And so not a lot of teams lose their challenge with a couple of innings to go before a crew chief review can be engineered. That could be 2, 4, 6-3. As Sanchez breaks another bat, pumping his fist as he walks off. All right, JD, we'll see you in the bottom of the 7th.
Good luck.
Chip Carey when we come back.
Any advice for me? Also, now you're not going to say anything. Take me out to the ball game. Sing it, Chipper. I don't care if I ever get back old. Root, root. Hey, man, what's going on?
Hey, how you doing today?
Hey, I'm good. I'm Chip.
Oh,
I'm singing the
nice.
7th inning stretch tomorrow, and I'm looking for the perfect outfit to wear to sing the song. You got anything that you might be able to help me with? Cool. All right.
Right here.
It's the 7th inning, and behind the play-by-play microphone, here's Chip Carey.
No.
No, you got it.
How you doing, kid? Good to see you. Thanks for arranging this beautiful weather for us today.
Absolutely.
Wouldn't have it any other way, would you?
You got the top of the 7th, Chips. Great to have you back in the Cubs booth.
Thanks, buddy. It's great to be back. It's so nice to see so many dear old friends, and the ballpark looks great. Really like your team. And Braves are doing okay. We're hanging in there in 2018. This guy's been a nice find for us, Preston Tucker. He's holding down left field until superstar Ronald Acuna comes up to the major leagues. And there was some talk, Lenny, that Acuna might appear here in Chicago, but we had 9 days between the end of spring training and the start of the AAA season. And bad weather, rainouts, and Ronald hasn't gotten into a groove at all at the plate, so we don't know when we're going to see him. But when he comes up, we expect him to be a really good player, much like Dansby Swanson and Ozzie Albies, who's had a huge day today for the Braves.
So Mike Montgomery now working for the Cubs. Yeah, talking to some of your people, there's always a but with one of the top prospects about something he can't do, and there doesn't seem to be a however for Acuna.
Not yet. Not yet. Everywhere he went last year, whatever level of the minor leagues he played at, his numbers got better, which stands to reason. Better pitching, better results. And that's going to be instrumental for our organization because we're kind of trying to do what the Cubs did. You guys all know here in Chicago about the long rebuilding process that paid off so well for you 2 years ago. And we're hoping that we're going to have similar luck in the next couple of years in Atlanta. And this kid at the plate, Dansby Swanson, new swing, new approach. It's paid big dividends for him. I think last season in Atlanta with our new ballpark and the hopes that the Braves were going to take a big step forward with their young team, young farm system, an awful lot was placed on this kid's shoulders, on the billboards everywhere, filming commercials, and I think that really hurt him a bit, being a hometown kid and all. He's much more relaxed, much more poised, and he said last year was a learning experience and in a good way because he's going to take those lessons with him in 2018 and beyond.
I want to take you down memory lane a little bit in terms of some highlights you remember during your time here. I would imagine the 03 season would be right at the top of the list. I saw Mark Pryor's back in uniform, which is great to see. The bullpen coach of the Dodgers. Kerry Wood, 98. We know about that. But those two guys in particular, I mean, what an exciting time. And Carlos Zambrano, young, hard throwers.
Yeah, I thought Carlos had the chance to be the best of the three, to be honest with you. Such a great pitcher, such a big competitor. As the 1-2 for Swanson is smoked toward third, and that's through the wickets. Tommy LaStella can't handle that. Dansby with a big turnaround first. He'll slam on the brakes. And that's Dansby Swanson's approach in a nutshell. Right field first, and he's still quick enough to turn on anything, and he's aboard for the 4th time today.
The second error on the Cubs, throwing error earlier on Darvish.
Yeah, you know, the 03 season was interesting in a lot of different ways. You know, we all know how 03 ended, but it was still a fantastic year. Great personalities, great players, great fun. 98 to me was the most fun season I've ever had in the major leagues because of all that was so new to me. I don't think anybody expected the Cubs to do what they did in 1998. The Kerry Wood 20 strikeout game, I thought, really turned around everything for everybody. Certainly for Kerry Wood, I think he'd tell you that was the game that changed his life forever. Flaherty smokes one past Baez. That's going to head into center field. Dansby's going to go to third, and the Braves have runners at the corners. Ryan Flaherty's done a nice job for Atlanta until Johan Camargo comes back. He's a terrific player, too. But 98 changed my life. That Kerry Wood game changed my life. And it was great. Great fun. Going down to the final weekend, it was great drama. A lot of fun.
Brant Brown play, right?
Poor Ronnie.
County Stadium.
I didn't know if Ronnie was going to make it to the plane after that one. After the oh no moment.
But it all worked out.
It did.
I think they gave Flaherty a hit.
It looks like Lane Adams is going to come on and pinch hit for Anibal Sanchez, who had himself a day today. He's been a nice find until the Braves figure out who's going to be their 5th starter. They signed him late out of spring training. In fact, our team really wasn't put together until the day before regular season play started. They got Ryan Flaherty, who was let go by the Phillies after a big spring because Camargo's hurt. They didn't know who the opening day left fielder was going to be. Tucker won the job with a great spring. Peter Borges, who you all knew very well from camp, made our club and won the game for us the last time we played in Washington. And so really the 25-man roster went down to the 11th hour for Brian Snitker. And this guy had a breakout couple of weeks last year. Lane Adams, really a fast guy, did a good job off the bench. He's off to a good start pinch hitting this year. 4th, 5th outfield guy who can really run, right-handed hitter.
Confirmation they did give Flaherty a hit, his 3rd of the day.
By the way, lightning's not going to strike if I'm sitting in this seat, is it?
No.
This was the Steve Stone chair.
It was. Yeah, so this is your first time in that chair, right? Even though you've been in this booth many times.
It is a little odd. But then again, so Steve.
Hey, get you out of your comfort zone. Yeah, I was going to ask you about
oh my God.
The broadcast partners you had, Stoney, Joe Carter,
Yep.
Dave Otto. You work with some wonderful guys.
You know what made that part so much fun? Steve was great. Dave was great. Joe was fantastic. It was the folks that people may remember but never got to see in front of the camera. Working with Arnie Harris was life-changing in so many ways. Great producers. Pete Toma, who now does such a great job with the Pittsburgh Pirates. Man that I called the assistant producer, Mark Brady, who's fantastic. Dave Turner, who's working the game today. All the camera folks behind the scenes. What an arm that guy has. Contreras, he is something else. Love watching that guy catch and throw. It is such a lost art because guys don't steal much anymore, but when they turn it loose, it is amazing. That was a ball in the dirt and a seed to second to take care of Flaherty.
And
unbelievable.
Swanson holding at 3rd, so 2 outs here in the inning. And a quick plug for Skip Ellison, longtime director, not only here, but worked with your dad in Atlanta, and Skip just retired following the 2017 season.
Yeah, I forgot about Skip, and he's a Georgia Bulldog. I'm not going to hear any. That's my alma mater.
It's a team effort, as you know. You got to have a good partner to remember the people that
and in our advancing years, Len, the seeds have fallen out of the melon, as we like to say on our side of the broadcast. And Inciarte bunts one foul.
All right, 2 outs in the inning. I know we've got a picture of you and your dad and your grandfather from Wrigley Field or here in Chicago, and 3 generations of Carries and big league broadcasters.
Yeah, 30 years and 30 pounds ago. Very special day. It was so surreal for me because, coming here in '98, I didn't really understand all the hype and hoopla and what Harry Carey meant to Chicago. I really didn't. And as the season went on, I got to understand that. And when my dad and I did that game, that was really cool. The most emotional part was when my dad finally came with Atlanta when I was with the Cubs. He didn't want to sing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game." It was a really hard thing for him to sit through, and I finally convinced him to do it. And it was in this booth where you're sitting, and we did it. We had a little hug after we did it, and he finally leaned over and said, "I'm glad we did that." It was almost like the circle closed for him.
Yep.
But it was. I've talked about it a lot. I didn't know Harry Carey as my grandfather per se. I knew him as Harry Carey, and he was a show business guy. He loved baseball. He loved being around his buddies. It kept him young. But for our family, it was kind of a real heartbreak because we never got to close that circle. At least I didn't, and I did with my dad in Atlanta, which was really a cool thing. But
well, let me just tell you, your dad was so great to me, and I know John Shambi, who you know very well. He treated us both great, and I think about Skip a lot. In terms of a sense of humor, you really had to pay attention, and he's a lot like my partner Jim Deshaies. Sometimes the jokes kind of slide under the radar, but one of my favorite all-time broadcasters.
That's back to the mound. Len, you take it from here, buddy.
All right, you're ready to sing? Thanks for stopping by, Chip. Chip Caray coming up. with our 7th inning stretch.
Take me out to the ball game, former Cubs broadcaster Chip Carey.
Hello, Wrigley. If I may, I'd like to propose a toast to friends and family who are no longer here, but are with us in spirit, and to you as well. All right, Gary, let's do this thing. Are you ready? A 1, a 2, a 3. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jack. I don't care if I ever get back, so let's root for the Bravos. If they don't win, it's a shame, for it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game. Great to see you all. Thank you very much.
Thanks to Chip for stopping by and reminiscing before the stretch. And here is left-hander Sam Freeman.
He left his glasses.
He did.
His big hairy glasses.
Welcome back, JD.
Thank you. Nice visit with Joe.
What'd you guys talk about?
We talked about Yu Darvish struggles. We talked about Albies. Cubs coaching staff turnover. Cold weather.
We got to a lot of topics.
Chip's, whether Chip was actually rehearsing over there. Joe said he was, and it was annoying.
Two strikes on Schwarber. Anibal Sanchez today went 6 shutout frames and just 3 hits.
Freeman, the left-hander here, is having a very nice start to his season. Looking at the Braves bullpen core, they've got a lot of big arms out there. Freeman among them, his average fastball velocity 94. Vizcaino goes 98. Ramirez, Carl both throw hard. Minter as well. The interesting thing, though, I was looking at their pitch usage. Just about all of them throw straight changes to go along with the breaking pitch. So it's not the typical fastball slider combination or fastball splitter out of the bullpen. It's most of these guys have a 3-pitch mix.
Swing and a miss, strike 3 on the fastball. Scoreless Sam. Off to a great start. And here's Russell. We saw Peter Borges, who had a real nice spring with the Cubs and then hooked on with the Braves. He's now in left. Fouled back by Addy, who has grounded out and flied out.
Missed his pitch right there, middle up. Seeing a lot of pitches down and away. Up and away he can handle, down and away is a tough pitch for him to reach.
Two and two the count. Tapped foul. The other note about Darvish, talking about his outing today, a little more than half the pitches he threw were in the strike zone, but typically he's not in the strike zone a lot. He gets a lot of swings and misses on pitches out of the zone. So, you know, opposing teams, I think in a lot of cases, you know, are waiting him out.
Yeah, and his last time against Milwaukee, he struck one on just about everybody, and that allows you to then expand the zone and get more swings and misses.
Right, that first pitch, if he can get ahead in the count, certainly helps his cause in that regard. Russell in the air out into deep center, and Inciarte will haul it in. Baez with 2 gone. 3 hits, all singles for the Cubs today. And as JD referenced, 2 were on broken bats. Two and one.
Wind appears to have turned around.
Softly bounced to third as Flaherty makes the play. And the Cubs go quietly in the 7th. We'll go to the 8th. Braves lead 4-0.
Like we promised, it's time for Miller Lite Hold True moment. Ozzie Albies, the dynamic young second baseman for the Braves, has been outstanding here today with a couple of doubles and a couple of outstanding plays in the field as well. And this one on Schwarber just spectacular. And earlier he got Contreras, 21 years of age. Braves have got a good one.
Carl Edwards Jr. makes his 7th appearance.
Busy day for the bullpen as Darvish, the starter, managed to go just 4 2/3. So Dunsing, Strop, Montgomery, now Edwards out of the pen. No wins, no losses, and a 150 earned run average for Carl through 6 innings of work.
Big day for Albies. 5th time at the plate. That was awkward. Jammed him that time. Here comes Hayward. He'll slide and make the catch, and rob Albies of what would have been his 3rd consecutive hit.
A good close here by Hayward. Great break. He plays deep, but he got a good read on it. And finally got the little guy out.
Freeman 1 out of 4, robbed of a hit and a nice running catch by Schwarber in the 6th. That's kind of the irony of that 5th inning, right? Darvish strikes out Freeman with a runner at 3rd and 1 out. And as you kind of watch that inning develop, you think, okay,
Yeah,
got through that.
That's going to be the big out. Yep.
And about 5 batters later, they had a 4-0 lead, and Darvish was out of the game.
The big blow, the home run by Tucker, his 3rd of the year, and all 3 have been 3-run shots.
Here's a pitch. Up in the air, left field. As the birds clear out of the way, it'll be Schwarber. The Newborn Fan Club is the perfect gift for parents of new Cubs to showcase what it means to be a Cub for life. Receive a photo from a custom birth announcement on the Wrigley Field marquee, Cubs birth certificate, pinstripe baby cap, and a Rookie of the Year Cubs onesie. Visit Cubs.com/kids for more information. Markakis with 2 outs. Cut and a miss.
Braves off to a good start here this year. In the last 3 seasons, they've lost at least 90 games in each of the last 3. Last time they were in the postseason, 2013, they won 96 games that year to win the division, lost to the Dodgers in the division series.
It's in the dirt, 1-2.
Got some talented young arms in their system. You mentioned Acuna earlier, the outfielder. He'll be here at some point this year. Albies looks legit.
Yeah, Luis Gohara, starter, is on the DL currently. And you know, this start has also obscured a really embarrassing moment for the organization. At the end of last season, when their GM John Capalella forced to resign amidst an MLB investigation of rules violations on the international amateur market. So Alex Anthopoulos now in charge of their baseball department. John Hart stepped down. Braves ended up losing 13 prospects in their 3rd pick this year, among other things. And Capalella was banned from baseball for life. But they've tried to kind of quickly move on from that. And have gotten off to a very good start here in 2018. 3-2. Toward the hole, nice play, Russell. And Bryant just can't pick it on the bounce throw. And that'll be an infield hit for Markakis.
A beautiful play on the backhand side. That's kind of a signature play for Russell. KB tries to make the pick, but comes up empty.
I don't know where you stand on team punishments after things like that happen. You had the Cardinals Astros situation. Once the people are pointed out and they're punished and they're no longer part of an organization, then it's a question of how much do you penalize that franchise, right? I mean, it's not always easy to figure out the right amount of punishment in terms of draft picks, or
there's not a lot of precedent either. to rely on. You take away some scholarships.
Yep. Swing and a miss by Suzuki.
Yeah.
It's 0-2.
In college sports, there's a lot of precedent to rely on. It's kind of ironic that there's more scandal in the college game than there is in the professional game.
Well, what's the thread in all of these issues typically? Cold, hard cash.
Greed, yeah.
So we just got word here via Twitter that Rockies tweeting out Nolan Arenado 5-game suspension. Gerardo Parra 4-game suspension. Armand Marquez fined. Don't know if there will be appeals. In the Yankee Red Sox brawl, Joe Kelly and Tyler Austin were suspended. They both, I guess, we're going to appeal. Foul tip, strike 3. So Edwards with a scoreless 8. It's getting late. The Cubs trail by 4.
Are you in charge of planning your next social gathering? Plan a day or evening at Wrigley Field. Enjoy special perks only available inside the ballpark. The Cubs offer special ticket packages for groups of 15 or more. Visit Cubs.com/groups. Outside the ballpark, they're having fun. Gallagher Way. A lot of little nuggets running around out there. Pitcher number 3 for Atlanta today. It's another lefty, A.J. Minter now, following Freeman out of the Braves' pen.
Alex Jordan Minter, Texas native.
Now he is not one of those guys I was talking about with the change. He's more fastball cutter.
So dealt with some arm injuries in his career. Tommy John surgery. Did not pitch in 2015. Forearm issue last year. At the end of the bat in the shallow left, out is Swanson. He'll take it from Borges. Zobrist off the bench. Minter pitched at Texas A&M.
Gig'em.
Mostly out of the bullpen. Fastball strike well located.
Yeah, 96 at the knees plays. Zobrist dropped a bunt down the other day to start a big rally. Flaherty at third base. That's a step behind the bag now. He retreats as Minter sets the pitch.
A 1-1. Been late, 1-2.
As a pitcher, you see a swing like that and you think, is he setting me up? Is he trying to convince me I'm not ready for a heater? I'll throw another one. They'll hit it in the gap. They say Willie Mays used to do that.
Really?
Yeah, take a real bad swing just to set a pitcher up. I don't know if it's true or not, but that's what they used to say.
Cubs closer Brandon Morrow. Looks like he'll get the ninth just to get some work in. And Zobrist strikes out. Unless, of course, the Cubs can rally here with 2 outs and give them a safe spot. Now Ian Happ. One for 3 on the afternoon. It is not warm, but I would say it doesn't feel quite as crisp as it did earlier. Wind has shifted
I think
a little bit.
The wind shifting has helped some.
1 strike on the switch hitting Happ. Drives that one out into the right center alley. Inciarte picks it up quickly. Happ will have a double. 2-out double, Ian Happ. First extra base hit for the Cubs today.
Happ's had a nice day. Broke a bat single first time. Last time he hit the ball very well. Deep drive to left field. That was caught. And now double in the right center alley. Last couple games for Happ. Things appear to be trending in the right direction.
Stella with 2 outs, a man at second. Ball 1. Josh Donaldson goes to the DL. Right shoulder inflammation. Blue Jays third baseman. Saw Travis d'Arnaud going to need Tommy John surgery. That's catcher.
Both those guys, d'Arnaud and Donaldson, have had some tough luck with the injuries the last couple of seasons. That means somebody else gets a chance.
Kevin Plawecki's got an injury. I think he broke his hand.
One man's misfortune, another man's opportunity.
Two balls, 2 strikes on the ex-Brave. The pitch. We'll try it again. 29,775 the paid crowd today. Other teams in the division playing tonight. Cardinals and Reds will start in about an hour and a half. Cincinnati off to a dismal 2-10 start. That is their worst start, I think, since the mid-50s. In 1955, the last time they started 2-10 or worse through 12. This time he gets him. And a tough afternoon continues for the Cubs bats. To the 9th, 4-0 Atlanta. Show dedicated to your teams. Baseball night in Chicago. Join Scott Pasednik, Doug Glanville, and Layla Rahimi tonight at 6:30 on NBC Sports Chicago. Bryant moves to third. LaStella is out. Zobrist now playing first. And the Cubs closer, Brandon Morrow, will get in some work.
Yeah, not a lot of work so far for Brandon, but when he's been out there, he's been sharp. This is his 4th appearance. He's had 2 save opportunities. He's converted them both.
facing his spring training teammate Peter Borges, who fouls out of play. He had a big day the other day in Washington. 2 hits, drove in 2, including the go-ahead RBI in the 12th inning, had an outfield assist, and he had entered the game in the 7th. Bounced in front of the plate, 1-2. Just no room on the Cubs roster for Borges.
Joe Madden spoke very highly of him throughout spring training. A good professional. Plays hard. He's got speed. Good extra man to have on your bench if you've got room.
Well, the Cubs have more room in their dugout, just not on the roster. Morrow to Zobrist. We've got a MLB at bat alert. Shohei Ohtani is hitting 7th tonight. He had batted 8th in his first 6 starts as their DH.
That is big news.
Everything he does is big news. Big 3-run triple last night, and the Angels win at Kansas City. The Angels have won 5 in a row.
Yeah, Angels 11-3 now, game and a half better than the Astros in the AL West.
Swanson with a fly ball to right, and no play for Hayward. We had the Joe Mauer note earlier. Guys born in the Twin Cities with at least 2,000 hits. He's the 3rd. How about Minnesota Twins with 2,000 hits? There are 3. Mauer and
Puckett
and
Carew.
That's it. I knew you'd nail that one.
Mauer and Puckett exclusively Twins. But he said, but Carew got 2,000 hits as a Twin of his 3,000 some odd hits he ended up with.
$2,085 to be exact. The other 968 came with the California Angels. Ron Carew was an all-star every year of his career except for the final one in '85. An 18-time all-star.
Big wad of chewing tobacco in that cheek. Left-handed hitter, line drive into the left center gap. Great bunter.
Be hard to imagine another guy doing that again, right? First 18 years of his career being an all-star every year.
What year did he break in?
67. He's a 21-year-old. Called strike 3.
Slider actually backs up on Brandon, but clings to the inside corner for the strikeout.
Big day for Ryan Flaherty. 3 for 4.
Just checking Baseball Reference here. Carew, I knew he was from Panama, born in Panama. I didn't realize he went to high school here in the States. Went to high school in New York. Yeah.
Schwarber's got it. So Flaherty lines out. We'll go to the bottom of the 9th. It's 4-0 Braves. Baez leading the club with 4, and those came over the course of 2 days earlier this week. Schwarber 3, Bryant and Happ each with a pair. And former Cub Arodys Vizcaíno, their closer, in a non-save spot.
1-1 with a 318 for Vizcaíno. He can rush it up there. Occasionally reach triple digits. Has a good curveball as well. He saved 14 games for the Braves last year. Jim Johnson picked up 22 saves working as the Braves closer. And now it's Vizcaíno's job.
He was with the Braves, traded to the Cubs, and then reacquired. He only made 5 appearances as a Cub. Those came in 2014. One strike to Chris Bryant.
I believe that was a split finger pitch. Debuted with Atlanta in 2011 when he was 20 years of age, now 27.
Two balls, 2 strikes.
Good take. Vizcaíno charged with a blown save in his last appearance. Give up a run against the Nationals, and Braves ultimately came back and won that ball game.
Driven the other way, but right at Markakis. For out number 1. Here comes Contreras.
Sometimes you do everything right and you don't get rewarded for it. That was a real good swing on a fastball down and away by Bryant. Stayed on it, hit it hard the other way, but unfortunately for him, right to the right fielder.
Sharply hit on the ground, but picked by Flaherty.
Everybody taking a turn making a play on Contreras in that infield today. He's been on the ground 4 times and flashing some leather.
Schwarber with 2 outs here in the ninth. Cubs with just 4 hits and kept off the board to this point. Why not? It's all about not making this final out. Just need base runners. This is the Cubs' 13th game. They have scored at least 8 runs 4 times. But they've scored 0 or 1 4 times as well. And they're in jeopardy of being shut out for the 3rd time. Fly ball center field. Inciarte will grab it, and the Braves take the opener and send the Cubs to 1-3 here on this opening homestand. 4-0 the final as Anibal Sanchez gets his first win as a Brave. Yu Darvish with his first decision a loss as a Chicago Cub.
Cubs are in this stretch now at the start of the Pirates series, 16 of 23 at home after that long road trip to start the season, and obviously hoping to do a lot of damage during this stretch, but so far it has not played out as the Pirates came in here playing very good baseball, won a series. Now the Braves, who everybody had low expectations for, they're off to a good start, and they grabbed game one of this weekend set. Sanchez was awfully good, and the Cubs are in a little bit of a funk right now.
Toast to the game is presented by Benny's Beverage Depot. Anibal Sanchez is the man today. Benny's Beverage Depot is the official champagne provider of the Chicago Cubs, and he had the Cubs off balance all day.
Yeah, he had him swinging at off-speed pitches out of the zone and taking fastballs in the zone, and when that happens, it's usually a good day for the pitcher. There's a good look at that changeup. Big weapon for him today.
So for JD, for Kelly Crawl, Doug Glanville, for Chip Carey, our entire NBC Sports Chicago crew here at Wrigley Field, Len Casper reminding you we'll be back with you tomorrow, 12:30 for our pregame coverage. Game 2 of this series, Braves and Cubs, and Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois postgame live is coming up next. Final score once again, Braves 4, Cubs nothing.